Alright, I'll try to explain a little bit about logic as we go as well. If you press this plus sign right here, you get the new instrument pop up. Audio and software are basically the only things you're going to need to use. Make a software instrument. Starts out on the generic classic electrical piano. I will say first we're going to work off of our bass, so you can come over here, click bass, and I like to use picked bass just as a starter because it's easily heard over a laptop speaker, and it's just easy to work with. So over here we have kind of the scroll of the song. It goes out measure by measure all the way through. Starts out really long, you can just add as much as you need. If you right click in this box right here, click create empty MIDI region. If we double click on that, pops up with the piano roll down here. In the top left, if we unclick this eye, that takes away the little information tool. If we unclick this, it takes away that. Now we have more room to see what we're working with. I'm going to begin by making a basic G, D, E minor, C chord progression. For simplicity, we will make this chord progression 2 bars long. If everything's balanced, that's going to give us half a bar for each note. So we start out, again, if you right click, create note, it'll give you a note. We have 4 notes to create, so we're going to make them all evenly lengthed for now. G, D, E, C. Again, we're not worrying about chords right now, just the root notes. So now if you play back what we have, you have a bass note chord progression. A few other things you may have seen that if I just hold down Command, it makes the little pencil, and then you can click and create a note, as opposed to having to right click and hit create note every time. Tap it, hit delete, goes away. Up here you see where I click and it makes it yellow, click it makes it unyellow. That's the loop. We're going to pull this down so that we now loop these same 2 bars over and over. Hitting enter goes to the beginning of the song. Space bars play. Now we have this loop going. Pretty simple, and you got the start of what we can do with the song. Next key thing in my opinion is to pick the tempo that you want the song to be played at. As you hear when I play that through, it gives it a much, your typical radio pop song tempo. Totally fine. We could slow it down. 90 is another tempo. Again, up here, double click where the tempo is listed. Type in 90. Now you listen. You have a much slower chord progression. So just for simplicity's sake, I'm going to stick with what we have right here, and we're going to work off of that. So now that we have bass notes in there, let's give it some chords to go along with it. And click the plus, create a new instrument, and I guess I'll go with piano. So we can click piano here. We'll go Yamaha grand piano. Really, I'm not worried about sounds. I'm just trying to show you what I could do real quick to whip up the basics of a little loop to create a song from. So now if we hit Command K, your keyboard pops up. I use this all the time. If you have a full setup, that's awesome with an external keyboard, but you can do pretty much anything you need to do just off this little keyboard that pops up here. So we need to now apply the G chord, D chord, E minor, and C. You could use this to play your chords, or you can go in, create a new box. Well, let me backtrack real quick. If you wanted to do it that way, you start at the beginning, hit the letter R, you get the tempo clicking, and you're going to record chords. That's cool if you want to play it. Doesn't really make a difference. A lot of times I just like to draw in the notes if I'm doing something simple. It can tend to go quicker than having to actually play it and worrying about messing up, yada yada. So we're going to create a new box on the piano. Again, make it 2 bars long. Now we just need the chords that fall over top of the bass notes. Let's start on, I guess we'll start on this one. Make each note Every time you create a new note, it's going to be the same length as the last note you clicked. So if you make one that's that long, now we can just keep clicking and make all the chords we need. That's the wrong chord. So I'm going to drag that up. Now we have a D, E minor, and the last chord of that progression is a C. Like I was saying, I'm not really worried about explaining chords and how they're made in this. I just want to show you how you can whip up a chord progression real quick and turn it into something that sounds like a song. So now when we play it, we have this. I don't like that, that's too low. Here's another learning tip. Control A highlights all the notes. You right click on it, hit transpose event up 12 semitones. That's going to bump it up a whole octave. Now it sounds better. Starting to come along to be a song pretty quick. After this, because I'm all about simplicity, we go up here in the right and click on this loop. There's all sorts of stuff that's pre-programmed in here. I really only use the drums, so you can click all drums or just beats. Either way, it's going to give you a whole bunch of drum stuff to work with here. Some of the times that I get the best results is clicking one that is not listed at the tempo that I'm actually working with. So this one's supposed to be at 120, but we're actually at 90, so it's going to slow down the beat. Let's see what this sounds like. Pretty simple, a little interesting. You just keep clicking along, see what other ones have to offer for you, find something you like. That's kind of cool. So we'll work with this. You click and drag, pull it out here. Underneath everything you've done, it'll create a new track. Now you have a little beat behind it. So now let's see what we have. Not bad. Already coming together. After that, let's see. Maybe we want to add a little bit of a lead rhythmic type deal to it. So let's go again. We'll click on the plus, add a software instrument, and let's say we go synthesizer lead. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to do that because all those notes only allowed you, all those instruments only allowed you to play one note at a time. I may want to be able to do two at a time, so we'll back up and we'll go with synth classics, and maybe we'll do, here I'll pull up the keyboard again and we can test out some sounds. That might work. So now a little bit of theory in a G scale. The notes that you can pick from that will all work are going to be G, A, B, C, D, and E. And then F sharp. So amongst that, you just want to come up with something that sounds cool. So I'll let it play behind there and mess with it. When you have the keyboard up, X and Z change octaves. So I think we need a little sound up in this octave. That's kind of cool, but if you notice, it looped around too many times for me to get in the whole phrase that I wanted. So what we're going to do is highlight these. You can hold down Option and click and drag. It's going to add it, add it, and add it. Now we can open up our loop up here, the gold bar, and now it's going to loop for 8 measures. So we can play something that's longer than just that 2-measure loop on top of it and get the whole thing in. So let's see if I can do something like I just did. We'll hit R. Really just something I just made up as we were going there. It's not bad, not the best thing in the world, but we're going to keep it. So another tip here, if we go back in, hit Control Alt or Command A, just highlight everything. This little Q under quantize, that's going to lock everything up so it's perfectly on time. When we were drawing notes earlier, those are all automatically on beat, but if you click this Q here, I have 16th note selected. That means that every one of these little boxes is a piece at which it can link up to. You can make it smaller. A half note would mean that between 1 and 1.3 are the only positions it would lock into. We're going to stick with the 16th note. Hit the Q. You see how everything's shifted just a little bit. Now it's perfectly in time. So we go back and we play it back. Kind of gives it a cool little feel. It's flowing along. You got an 8-measure loop there that's got some cycle to it. Gives you a room to actually make a full song. So now we can go and take all of that and we're going to loop that around again. But it'd be pretty friggin' boring if we just hear that all the way through. So maybe we go and say that the intro, we're going to take out the drums. We're not going to have any drums at the beginning. And we're not going to have the melody. So we're going to start off with, let's just say the piano. I feel like right here we're already getting bored, so we got to bring some more stuff in. We got the bass coming in. If we were trying to make strictly an instrumental song, it may seem a little boring. But we need to leave room for vocals, for mixing, for everything else that may come along later. So keeping things basic at the beginning is not necessarily a problem. I'd whip up some vocals for you, but that's pushing it for now. This kind of gives you the idea of how you can create something that is 4 chords the whole way through. Keep on linking it, looping it, cutting stuff in, bringing new stuff out, and you have a song. So recap real quick. Start with the bass notes. Get your tempo. Put a drum beat behind it. Throw some chords on top of it. Come up with some kind of a melody line to put on top of that, and then you have the essence of a song. There's a lot of other little things you can do, but that basically, with some adding and subtracting, you could take that and go the whole way through and you'd have an entire song. So hopefully it gets you somewhere. Let me know if you come up with anything. I'd love to hear any music you guys come up with.